They're like little rods.
Yeah. Wait, are you looking at? Wait, what?
No, look, there's two rods behind you.
Wait, there's two rods behind
For
Rob?
those of you watching the video, there's two rods behind him. If you're listening to the audio, then imagine what we're talking about. They're lighting up in I don't know if they're reacting to sound or they're on a timer or they're running out of batteries.
Oh.
What's up, Mr. Scott? Welcome
hey,
to your
Scott.
Monday evening.
Yeah.
That over there. Oh no, we have this mirrored now. So all this shit we learned going this way is now going this way.
No, it's not. No, that's the wrong way. Now you're pointing off the screen.
No, this is right way.
I'm telling you right now. For me, it looks like you're pointing away from me.
Anyway,
doing this, I'm pointing at you right now.
Yeah, so new technology in StreamYard. We use StreamYard to do all our live streams. If you ever want to know about it, hit me up. I can set you up and you'll get a voucher for 10% off whatever you sign up for. They added this mirror effect. So now Rob might be mirrored and I might not be mirrored. Anyways, you guys don't care about that stuff. How's it going, everybody, on this random Monday night? It is Monday, October 24th. What happened to October? I don't know. Who knows? What's up, Fraser? What's up, Scott? What's up, Jonathan? Anyone else lurking in the chat that hasn't made themselves known? Welcome to the show. How you doing, Rob? It's been a week.
Yeah, man, it's been a crazy week. Yeah, it has been a week. Yeah, man, I'm good. How about you? How are things going with you? Are your girls getting excited for essentially getting free candy from strangers? The one thing we tell them not to do, except for one day a year. Are they getting excited for next Monday or what?
Yeah, I feel like Halloween was canceled last year, right?
Nope.
Was it not?
Nope.
It was very slim, though. It was slim pickings, right?
Nope.
No? Okay.
Maybe you canceled it.
I feel like it wasn't really on last year, and then the year before it was super duper canceled. And then the year before that, it was like raining like crazy, right? I feel like there was a Halloween where it was just pouring cats and dogs, which is not a good thing. So I think they are looking forward to it. And supposedly it's going to be semi-mild, I think, this year, right? It's not going to be as cold. So I think it'll be a good time for the kids. Dust off the costumes. Your kids have costumes picked out yet? Or do you have costumes picked out? Many a year, Rob would pop by the store in a Flash costume. It was a pretty fun time.
You didn't know it was me. It was running too fast. Let me see. My daughter has her costume picked out. She's got to finish it off. My son still doesn't know what he's doing. And I was like, hey, just take your time. It's not like we're, running out of it. You've got... You have a week. You have 7 days, and you're still like, I don't know. So who knows?
I always tell myself I'm going to get a costume for the store and go all out, and then Halloween just flies by like that. So 1 year I'm going to do it, folks.
Right. It's hard. It's hard when you have like a yearly thing to remind you, John. It's hard to keep on top of it.
It's tough. I feel like
sorry, girls. I was going to get you a birthday gift, but your birthday just kind of came out of nowhere.
Next year, we'll catch it next year. This world is spinning around fast enough. So welcome, folks. We are doing our Halloween October Spooktacular. We are on movie number 4 this week, which is Ghostbusters Afterlife, which is October 24th. Remember, next week we are on a special night, Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Because we'll be out trick-or-treating on the Monday. Maybe not. We're giving out candy, whatever. Thank you for giving us your Monday. If you are watching this on the replay, we are live every Monday at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please join us. Get in the chat. Make fun of us. People are shouting out different costume ideas. That's great. That's always cool to hang out with you guys. So join us for that. If you are joining us today, if you're live right now with us, thank you. Rob, what do we like to open the show with? What do we like to hear about people's goings on?
Yeah, well, we like to talk about our weekends and what did we do this weekend? What have we seen? What's new in our realm of pop culture stuff? So, John, buddy, how was your weekend?
Yeah, so busy weekend. We were at the shop. I thought it was gonna be completely dead because it was so nice out, right, Rob?
Yeah,
this is the first time. Like the whole week was rain. I don't know where you guys are. I know Scott's sounds like he's in Hawaii, which is amazing. But it was pretty rainy, pretty dreary, and then the weekend was just sun, nice and warm. Didn't have to wear your jacket, so I thought it was going to be completely dead. But people still came out. Yeah, but people still came out and did some shopping, so it was great to see everybody there. I'm pretty behind on most current stuff. House of the Dragon, I'm way behind. Rings of Power I didn't catch up on. I am still watching American Gigolo, my favorite show. Very cool. And I did dive into, ever heard of a show called The Bear, Rob? I think it's on Disney Plus, Stars app.
Yeah, I have heard of it. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I've been recommended it a couple times, and I finally it's one of those shows you watch the first episode, and it opens with this guy actually interacting with a bear, and you're just like, what the hell is going on? But once it gets rolling, it's about this guy who's a Michelin star chef, and he inherits the place from, I think it's his father or his brother, and tries to turn this kind of mom and pop dingy diner into something more than it is. So it's pretty cool. I'm only a couple episodes in, but I did dig it. So I'm behind, but I'm having fun. I'm doing a lot of Warhammer. I should have grabbed a picture of my Warhammer stuff. If you guys have ever played a miniature game where you have to paint the stuff and design your army, it consumes a hell of time. So it's a lot of fun. But Rob, you usually get up to a little bit more than me. I know maybe you're hitting the game controllers pretty hard. What did you get up to? And you guys in the comments, let us know what you guys are getting up to lately, over the weekend, doing whatever. We like to hear.
Yeah, I have been gaming a lot lately. I was thinking before the show, we were talking about things that we've seen, and I haven't been watching any shows, but then I realized, no, I've been watching like Quantum Leap, The Rookie, and Island of Bryan on HGTV. I generally, and Law and Order. I have a bunch of shows like I record and I watch them. I'm a Law and Order guy. So I have been watching those, I did, yeah. Last night, Sunday night, it was the season finale of Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon. So I had to watch that. So I stayed up and I watched that, and it was absolutely phenomenal. This is the problem with social media, is that even if you were to like to try to mute some of the stuff, it leaks through like a sieve. So, but also, John, it was a big night. If you are a Doctor Who fan, last night was a big night, as Jodie Whittaker took her final bow as the 13th Doctor and regenerated. I won't get into the spoilers in case anybody has recorded it or plans to watch it this week. But if you're a Doctor Who fan, it was okay episode, but it was the ending that shocked the shit out of everybody. And now we have to wait till November of 2023 for the next episode. So, but the big thing for me, John, is on the weekend, on Friday, my son and I, we went and we watched Black Adam in theaters. So, I think we're waiting on Stu to watch it, and I don't know what you're going to get up to, if you're going to get a chance to watch it this week or not. But
I wanted to watch it that Thursday before everything hit the fan, but it's going to come up later, the reception for this movie. So I want to see it before anything, kind of gets into your head and that kind of stuff. I still do have intentions of going to see it. So I want to catch it. If anyone else did catch it, let us know what you thought.
Yeah, I'm going to keep my thoughts close to the vest, but I will say, John, I would run out to watch it again. It's not a perfect movie, but it's hella fun. So, we'll give a more detailed review.
Yeah. I feel like we'll say a little bit. I feel like the general consensus of people who walked into the shop and talked to me, not the online, they all said it was fun in the theater. So that was the feeling that I got with people that I see and talk to said about the movie. But let's find out what everybody else got up to their weekend. Michelle's asking, did people came in wear pants? Some people were wearing shorts. A lot of people busted out the shorts. And even today, I saw a bunch of parents at the playground wearing shorts. So shout outs to you shorts wearers. Sans pants, I don't know. I didn't notice, but maybe some people were wearing long shirts. I don't know. Scott's behind on everything. Yep. I'm sure he's got a lot.
Well, that's what happens when you saunter down to Hawaii and go surfing. So
and the time zones don't line up.
Yeah,
you can't
we don't
catch
really
your
feel
favorite
that bad
shows.
I have a funny feeling, though, he still managed to get in his Bachelor in Paradise.
I was going to say, is there no Bachelor going on right now?
No, there is. And so for sure he got those in.
Yeah, he was in Paradise. Lewis says he watched Andor, Lower Decks, and said it was a pretty light week for shows. Andor, I've been hearing good things about. Rob, are you going to go visit it? I know you're not huge on these Star Wars TV shows.
Yeah, you know what? I have been hearing good things about it. It's so much so that I will probably consider revisiting it. I will wait for them all to drop, and then I'll take the time and sit and watch it. So I do know, like, for November, for me, there's a hell of a ton of shows coming out on Netflix that I'm like really jazzed for. Like, I'm a big fan of The Crown. They got that. There's that new Wednesday Addams TV show coming out. And obviously, I'm a big fan of the series Dark, and Scott and I have been talking about that online. They just dropped a trailer for their new series, 1887 or 1889, I think. So
that was 1888. I thought it was 38. No, or 1988. No,
it's not 1988. I don't know.
I remember seeing at least 2 8s, but I could be wrong. Lewis said he caught up on Ghostbusters 1, 2, and Afterlife. That's going to come out later. Do you call Ghostbusters Afterlife Ghostbusters 3 instead? I don't know. Jonathan Yo said he caught COVID. Yeah, so hopefully you're feeling better, buddy.
Yeah, that
would
sucks, man.
explain why.
I've 1899. Yeah,
1899.
Jonathan, I've been there. Hoping you don't have it too bad. But yeah, it's not fun, man.
Yeah, Fraser said he also watched Doctor Who the other day, so you guys can talk amongst yourselves, the Whovians. Renovation Island. That's what Scott's going to shout out. Renovation Island.
So in Canada and HGTV it's called Island of Bryan, and in the US it's called Renovation Island. So
why?
Why?
Yeah.
I don't know why. They do change. I don't know if it's because of selling the show, like they own the rights, they can sell it and package it. I don't know why, but
weird.
Yeah.
Weird. All right.
It's for whatever reason, it's a very addicting show. Like it's some of it you're like, what? I mean, listen, most of it right now, and this season takes place in Florida. It's not really an island at all. But here we are, we're still watching the episodes, and I find it to be completely amusing, and I'm assuming Scott does as well.
I think there's that's why those reality shows do so well. You think Netflix is going to transition to fully reality TV at some point?
No, but okay, so niche. back in the early aughts, John, there was a TV show that was hosted by Anderson Cooper before he joined CNN called The Mole. Maybe it was in the late 90s.
Okay, yeah. I recognize the name.
ABC, ran for a couple seasons. And I remember Kelly and I, we were just dating at the time, but we watched it a lot and stuff like that. Now, they've redone it. There's a new Mole show, and it's on Netflix. Apparently, they just finished the finale. I haven't seen it yet, but I hear it's not too bad, so I might have to give that a go. But I really don't. If Netflix goes the route of having just mostly reality shows, then I'll bow out of paying my 20. I just saw my bill again today with taxes. It was 23 something. I was like, come on, man.
Yeah, imagine if all your streaming stuff came on one bill and you could see how much you totally spend on it. I feel like a lot of us would be cutting back.
But you know what, though? Apple TV today announced that they're increasing the prices of their subscription service. So in Canada, I think we were paying $5.99 a month, or it was $59.99 for the year. They're upping it to $8.99 a month. So I did the yearly subscription.
Yeah, I was going to ask, are you the guy that goes for the year and saves the $20 or whatever?
Yeah.
Or do you like to keep it fluid? It sounds like you're the yearly person. You guys in the comments, let us know.
Yeah, I try to do the yearly one. I was doing the monthly, and then lately I've been picking up a lot of Apple products, and I realized my subscription, I haven't been paying for it, and I was like, what's going on? And I have it free till April. Okay. And then I just
you're already signed up.
Yeah, so I'm good till April 2024.
Yeah. Michelle's right. Netflix is gonna either be all true crime docs or some combination of true crime docs and
good point, Michelle.
Reality TV. But reality TV is a hella comfortable genre to put on when you're having dinner or something like that. So I don't blame anybody who's kind of likes to fire those shows up. So cool. Thanks everybody for sharing your weekend with us. We look forward. If there's anything else we missed, let us know and we'll kind of circle back maybe. But Rob, let me show you a couple cool things we got in the store this week. So I did get back up to posting the new comic book day list on the Instagram and the Facebook. Check that out. This is 2 Venoms making out. You're gonna have to get issue number 12 to find out what exactly is going on here.
That's some serious tongue action.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that, John.
That's going in
grade 8.
Back to grade 8, folks.
Since grade 8 behind the bleachers with Sarah Cunningham.
All right, and everyone's favorite Bat villain. We got the McFarlane Mega Fig of Bane. Bane. That's my name. Who likes hip hop? Do you think that Bane voice is going to be stuck with him forever? Like that Tom Hardy voice is
that guy wears more masks than anything else in a movie, so you never know.
Yeah, well, you know what? The Harley Quinn TV show Bane is pretty funny as well, but it is just an imitation of the Tom Hardy voice. So shout outs to that. Bane mega figure. He's about $60. He's gigantic. So it's a really cool figure. A lot of people are waiting for this, and this is a very definitive Bane. They previously did a different version of Bane from I think Last Night on Earth, where he's kind of like a little bit different looking. It was in black and white, and he had the scarecrow on his back.
Why? What is that picture in the right in the corner, the side profile where it's all gray?
Yeah. What happens is that is the box art, but you also get a little card with every McFarlane figure that comes with. I think it's actually a cover from a comic book they did.
Okay.
So definitely check that out. They're cool neat little extra items, and that black circular thing is a base. which I feel like is inadequate for the figure of this size, but it comes in there. Go nuts. Always good to have extras. These guys, Rob, do you recognize these guys? Do you remember their names?
It was Zartan and
no, their name was the same, but it's backwards for one guy and forwards for the other guy. So Tomax and Zamalot were twins in the G.I. Joe show. Do you remember what their gimmick was, Rob?
God, I can't remember now.
Yeah. Okay. So if you punched one of them, the other guy would feel it.
Oh, okay.
And when they would talk, they would splice one guy would start the sentence and they'd kind of go back and forth and finish each other's sentences. So it's actually a really funny gimmick, and I actually wanted to go back and dig up some of those episodes just to watch how clever they were with it. But those are some new fun stuff we got at the shop.
Those G.I. Joe figures. So okay. So very briefly, my brother-in-law is in the Army up in Petawawa, and his son just turned 6 a couple months ago. Anyways, my brother-in-law Chris has always wanted to get him some G.I. Joes, but they were gone for the longest time, and so they had those old different Army type knockoff figures.
Yeah.
At any rate, you had some figures at the store, so I got them and we shipped them up there, and apparently he went absolutely bananas. Now my brother-in-law is asking me for all these different figures. Do they have this? Do they have that? And I'm like, I'll have to check into it because he wants us to get all these figures for his kids. So G.I. Joe's making the comeback, man.
Yeah. It's gone crazy. They've done it in different sizes. They've done the 3-inch. Now they're on the 6-inch, and they are doing 12-inch figures as well. So there's a G.I. Joe for every size collector. But yeah, if you want to see any of that stuff and more, follow the Heroes World feed on Facebook and Instagram, Heroes World Online. And I'm trying to keep the website update as possible, so check that out as well. It's also Heroes World Online, and you can always message me directly if you need me to ship things out or hold things for you.
So what you were saying though, John, is that playing with G.I. Joe, it grows from a 3-inch to a 6-inch to a 12-inch. Is that what you're trying to say?
With the Kung Fu grip. Anyways, we're gonna kick it to Rob for the news.
Oh boy. All right. Hey, John, we're going to kick off tonight's news with Black Adam and the weekend box office. First, the movie brought in $67 million in North America and another $73 million worldwide for a total of about $140.4 million. Now, listen, hey, it's below the numbers we're used to seeing with MCU movies, but it is The Rock's biggest opening where he is a leading man, and it's a higher opening weekend than Shazam had. So I don't know. I'm okay with it. The Batman, did very, very well earlier this year, but we all know that these DC movies have been a little bit of a hit and miss. So John, does that concern you that it only made the 67 million? Do you think that the second week drop off will be a huge drop, or do you think it might be a smaller because of the word of mouth, which we're going to get into next?
Yeah. So I'm shout outs to The Rock for making sure he's promoting this on all of it. Sometimes you need the actor disappears and stuff like that, but he's making sure this happens. This is pretty divided. I think DC did want a slam dunk. The Rock was hyping it up like it was a slam dunk. I don't know if it's possible for it to ever be a slam dunk with DC, Rob, because they've created this whole stigma that it's always going to divide the market. Like Marvel movies kind of came out the gate hot and have been on top. So it's hard for someone to say, I dislike the Marvel movie, right? Except for, with Phase 4. But beforehand, they had so much momentum that it was like, if you were like, no, I didn't like it, you were kind of like against the norm. But I feel like the DC norm is like, I hate it, I love it. Like you kind of go to those sides. So I'm not super surprised, but I think I want to get to when you're going to discuss, I guess, the rating that this movie got.
Yeah. So, we're used to seeing a vast difference between critics and audience score. Listen, this is half the stuff that we do when we're reviewing our movies. We're always talking about Rotten Tomatoes scores, and you're like, wow, there's a bit of a difference. But we're talking about a huge difference. Currently on Rotten Tomatoes, the critics score stands at 39%. But John, it has an audience score of 90%. Like, I can't remember the last time we saw a discrepancy that huge between critics and audience scores. And I can imagine this is one that Warner Brothers Discovery will be eyeing as they decide what they want to do with the future of the DCEU. But what do you make of this, John? And I know it's hard because I have some ideas on it and I can't get into it because I'm not going to, spoil it here live because people haven't seen it.
Yeah. We'll give it another week. It sounds like a lot of, especially our audience, hasn't gone to seen it. Jesus Christ. But yeah, it's crazy that are they bots? Maybe you think it's that many people? I think it's the charisma of The Rock that's bringing out his fans. That's letting this movie get more of a positive spin. But maybe the critics are just used to bashing DC stuff, and they wanted, I don't know what they would want from a movie with The Rock and a whole bunch of other superheroes in it.
Okay, so I'm not going to give my take, but
yeah,
others have online said that this is it's a nonstop action adrenaline movie.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, most critics look at that and are like, it doesn't have its plot. Like they're looking at it from a critical standpoint. And I think some movies like this, you can't use a critical eye if it's just a popcorn fare movie. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
oh yeah, no, 100%. We would all watch Siskel and Ebert, and an action movie would come up on their docket, and of course they would slam it because either they're not fun enough or they're right. older or whatever. So you'd be like, whatever, action movies deserve to be on a different platform. So maybe we're back to that point now where just a good old fashioned action movie, like I'll bring it up again, like a Fast and the Furious, can wow audiences. It gets your butt in the theater. It gets you eating popcorn, takes your mind off of whatever you've got going on in the week. And sure, it would be nice if it was also filled with a brilliant plot and great acting, but sometimes you can't achieve that, or you don't need to. This is a first step in The Rock potentially becoming like a super, like a producer type in the DC universe. Maybe I think that's what he's been trying to like position himself into, right, Rob?
Yeah, I will say though, like I would if people have not gone to the movie theater to see this, because they've been wary about the critic responses. To quote our friend Conan the Barbarian, to hell with that.
Let's Conan the Barbarian say to hell with them.
Yeah, when he's praying to Crom, and he goes, if you don't come, if you're not gonna, and then to hell with you, I'll do it myself. So to hell with the critics, to paraphrase Conan. And I
like Conan sounds like Dracula, but okay. It's Halloween time.
To hell with them. I would definitely recommend people going and checking out in the theater. Because I will say that I read the critic scores post having seen the movie, the critic responses and reviews. And I see what they're saying. I appreciate what they're saying. I can agree to a certain extent, but this is a movie that it's a lot more fun than what the critics are making it out to be. So if you've been on the fence about it, going, I don't know, 39%, I'm telling you that audience score likely sits in the same range of all of us who are on this, watching this or listening to us afterward probably agree with. So you're likely to agree with the critics and with the audience within the critics. So that's you're on mute, buddy.
I'm on mute. Anyway, yeah. And who doesn't like The Rock, right, Rob? The Rock, do you feel like he's positioned himself in the similar vein to Will Smith, like being this perfect individual, or you feel like he's actually let a little bit of his kind of flaws show more than Will Smith?
No, I don't think there's a comparison between the two. I think the biggest comparison would probably be I think comparing Ryan Reynolds to The Rock right now is probably more apropos, given that they're both masters at marketing themselves as a brand.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think that's more accurate. I was just trying to bring up the idea that Will Smith projected himself as this perfect individual. So I feel like he had some haters on that point. And then of course the events of the last year or so have exposed a little bit of that mask, I guess.
Well, you know what? I think like it's a fair question only because The Rock is The Rock, right? Like he's not Tom Cruise. Do you know what I'm saying? Whereas Tom Cruise, you can, if you look at his body of work, he does melt into the roles. Leonardo DiCaprio is the same way. He starts to melt into those roles, and you think, oh, I'm watching Leo, and you realize you're not, or I'm watching Tom Cruise, and all of a sudden he's Ethan Hunt, or whatever movie it is that you're watching, you're like, wow, all you need is kill or live, die, repeat. Like you don't think of him as Tom Cruise. Generally, though, when you're watching these Rock movies, you're thinking of, oh, it's The Rock as so and so. So I can't think of another actor who is kind of like that right now, who is, oh, it's this person in this movie. You think of him more as the person as opposed to the character, but
maybe Kevin Hart a little bit. Kevin Hart,
maybe
generally play himself a lot, but you know what? It's worked for him so greatly through most of his career, and he has flexed his other kind of style of acting. But anyways, moving on.
Yeah, actually, John Daniel says Vin Diesel doesn't like The Rock, but Vin Diesel is a very good comparison because Vin Diesel plays Vin Diesel, right?
Yeah, okay, that's a little closer, and I feel like Vin Diesel is not being as present in the kind of socials as Rock has. So The Rock has definitely kind of leveled himself up in that stratosphere, like you said.
So listen, we're going to kind of talk about adjacent to the Black Adam here, and we're going to talk about what's arguably the biggest news of the past week, John, that actually dropped today. And it's really hard to talk about it without spoiling the mid-credit scene of Black Adam. But the reality is this: it's out there. We kind of hinted at it last week. Dwayne Johnson has been promoting this. It's everywhere, and then all of a sudden, we get an official announcement from this specific actor today. So I hope you don't mind. We're going to have to talk about this because it's all over the news. And that is Henry Cavill officially announced that he is back as Superman. He posted a video on with this photo preceding and post video on his Instagram account today, thanking fans for making this happen. And he wanted to wait until after the Black Adam movie had come out this past weekend. Now, we know that Cavill has signed on to do the cameo in Black Adam, as well as one in The Flash. It was announced already. He's going to be in that. It now looks as though we will get a lot more than just those two cameos, including a Man of Steel 2 movie. That's what I'm calling it. I don't know if that's what it's called. I'm just calling it Man of Steel 2.
MOS2.
Yeah, MOS2, and a whole bunch more. It appears that we can actually thank The Rock for this, as he had worked really hard. We talked about this a bit last week, John, behind the scenes to get Cavill re-signed with Warner Brothers. And if there's anything positive to come out of this new Warner Brothers discovery, because there's been a hell of a lot of negative, Batgirl, half the TV shows being axed, movies being lost. If there's anything positive out of this new ownership by Warner Brothers Discovery, it's that they've likely, in my estimation, John, made the right decision on this. So, John, what are your thoughts? And those in the chat, let me know your thoughts on Henry Cavill donning the suit and announcing that he's back as Superman. Which, by the way, DC retweeted, their official accounts retweeted everything and reposted his links to his videos. So
so we're just shy of like a full out press release of him taking interviews and them releasing a date for whatever the next project he's working on, right? So this appears to be official, and 100%. Like, why were you sleeping on this, DC? This should have happened like years ago. This should have happened like the beginning of the pandemic. You just said, you know what, the world's going to hell. Let's at least lock down one thing that we know is good, and that is Henry Cavill as Superman. We'll figure out. They should have figured out all the other pieces later on. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if they were waiting for script or waiting for whatever. They should have said, Henry Cavill, what do we need to do to make you happy? And we're gonna figure everything out. You know. So yeah, I'm 100% in. I don't know who's not in. Rob, tell me who's not in.
Well, I'll tell you who's not in. It was Walter Hamada, who was actually no longer in WWE. So just a quick backstory on this is that supposedly, according to the trades, Walter Hamada, there's a push to have Cavill resign. Hamada said, no, we're done with anything to do with Snyderverse, although here, Gal Gadot will get you to finish off Wonder Woman. And, oh, by the way, Jason Momoa, we need you to be Aquaman for a couple movies. Oh, and hey, Ezra Miller, can you be the Flash? But aside from that, he wanted to get nothing to stop and distance
Let's build a whole movie around you, and you can reset the universe for us.
Right.
Yeah.
So The Rock apparently had said, listen, we really want, we know about his connection with his ex-wife and the manager and all that. Said, hey, we really want Cavill for this. And he was petitioning them, and Hamada said, no. The Rock went over his head and went to Hamada's bosses, who the new people who were installed at Warner Brothers Discovery, And this may, I don't know, I'm not there, may have in part led to Hamada saying, I'm no longer relevant in this position anymore, I'm out. But Warner Brothers Discovery were like, yes, we want this. And they did what they could up until the last minute. That's why I remember at San Diego Comic-Con, there was a lot of talk about them bringing him out, Cavill out, and then it stopped. And then The Rock was like, well, whomever's playing Superman in the future, because it wasn't locked. They shot the scene in the Black Adam movie with a stand-in double. They were going to do a Shazam with a headless person.
Put it back in digital release.
They signed it in September just for these 2 cameos, and they shot it in September, just mere weeks before this movie actually drops. And now they've officially done a proper contract. So, yeah, that's the background skinny on that, and that, you know, you do have a lot to think about. I'm a big fan of Henry Cavill Superman, and I actually really look forward to seeing what he does with the role now that he's no longer shackled to the darker vision that Zack Snyder had. Because as much as I love that stuff, Batman vs Superman, he was mopey as fuck. So I really would like to have a proper Superman. And along with the Cavill Superman news today, John, we got the trailer for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantum Mania, which looks positively ridiculous. I don't know if you got a chance to see this. It is unreal looking, bananas. This trailer was actually supposed to drop this evening during NFL football. It leaked online, and literally, I sent you guys a note. I'm like, that thing leaked online. For sure, we're going to get an official trailer. 20 minutes later, boom, there's your official trailer for Marvel.
Oh, yeah, it's here.
And speaking of trailers, we got one last week, John, for Creed 3, which also, like Ant-Man, stars Jonathan Majors. Now, this one is written by Ryan Coogler, but it's directed by Michael B. Jordan. It's his directorial debut. So, John, what are your thoughts on these 2 upcoming movies? One comes out February, one comes out March of 2023.
Yeah, so unfortunately, the Ant-Man trailer, I totally forgot to try and watch this before this. But
wicked! I'm so glad.
The previous movies, I
don't like the show to talk about this stuff.
I know. I'm okay with Ant-Man 1. Ant-Man 2, I've struggled through it twice. I don't quite like it. But Creed 3, this trailer looks hella fun. It's semi-simple story. Seems like on the quick run through, you know, he makes it big, brings in his friend who kind of was left behind, and it seems like some craziness ensues. It did remind me a little bit of the whole Mr. T arc in the original Rocky movies.
Yeah,
he's just kind of come in and take the title. But look at these 2 gentlemen here. Like, my God, like if you didn't want to hit the gym, and after seeing these 2 guys on the screen looking like this, damn. So I'm looking forward to it. I like all the jokes of Jonathan Majors, and they're like, yeah, Kang's gonna kill the Avengers, no problem, because he is ripped up. Rob, since you saw both trailers, which trailer did you like better?
That's a tough one, because I admittedly, going into Creed 3, I was like, here we go, whatever. And I was actually really surprised. It blew me away with how good it looks.
It looks like fun. It looks like a story that we've kind of either seen before in some shape or form, but it looks like it's going to be very well executed.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. Otherwise, we get Rocky 5.
Tommy Gunn.
Yeah, that's right. But the Quantumania one looks really, really cool. It looks vastly different from all the other Ant-Man movies we've gotten. It looks like a Journey to the Center of the Earth type movie, which is another Rock movie. Thrown in. So I don't know.
Journey to Mystery something, or is it Journey to the Center?
Journey to the Center of the Earth Part 2 or something, I think, because Brendan Fraser I think was the first one.
I thought it was Witch Mountain or something like that.
That's Escape from Witch Mountain.
Oh, all right.
Journey to the Center of the Earth, I think, was Brendan Fraser, and then Part 2 was The Rock. But anyway, I'm looking forward to these movies, man. Hey, we're in a we've got a hell of a lot of shit. We won't. Productivity at people's jobs must be going down the drain. There's too much to watch. It's coming at us too fast, John. I feel like Neo in the Matrix, and I'm dodging. I was thinking about this earlier today, though. We might want to go back. We never watched or reviewed any of the Creed movies for this show or the main show, the Heroes World podcast. And maybe we should go back for the Sidekick show next before 3 comes out and revisit 1 and 2.
Yeah, I'm down. You guys want to watch Rocky? I think there are some salvageable moments from Rocky 4. But maybe we talk about Rocky Balboa and Up But there's a lot of ground to cover.
I'm sorry, you must have misheard. I said let's revisit Creed 1 and 2. I don't remember ever saying anything about the Rocky movies.
How are we not going to watch a whole? How can you not start from Rocky 1, go to Rocky 2, 3, 4, skip 5?
Okay, John. So then we're going to watch all 25 Bond movies. You're right. You've convinced me.
No, we're not watching all 25 Bond movies.
Fine. Because yeah, and then I'm going to have Scott help me with Remo Williams. The Adventure Begins.
Ooh, Remo Williams. All right. Anyways,
that's it, buddy. That's it.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you for the news roundup. Thank you, everybody. If you have any news that we missed, definitely drop it in the comments now, and we'll try and cycle back to it. I know sometimes we miss some of the new Trek news. Lewis is always busting my chops after that we didn't cover anything Star Trek, but I don't think anything dropped this week, but I could be wrong. Let's wait for Lewis to throw something at the TV. Rob, what are we talking about this week? Are we revisiting an old movie? Who are you going to call?
We're going to call Ghostbusters. Yeah, we are checking out Ghostbusters Afterlife. Hey, thanks everybody if you're tuning in and watching us live, or you're listening to us after the fact, on whether it's iTunes or Spotify or Apple Music or Amazon. Thank you so much. John, just quickly, the rundown. What did we do on the Heroes World podcast? Yourself, Stu, and I. We did a review of the 1980s classic movie, The Monster Squad. Which John had never seen. So we checked that out. If you haven't seen The Monster Squad, we highly recommend you watching it. But if you don't want to, just watch our review. But if you have seen it and it's been like forever, check out the review, man. It's Stu and I. It's a flashback memory lane. So, hey, Sarah.
It's a fun movie. Even if you didn't watch it, I think we had a lot of fun during the podcast. So you can join us for that. And maybe we'll convince you to watch it. But there's some funny stuff in that movie, right, Rob?
Yeah, it was good. So definitely check out the Heroes World podcast episode. And again, we'll figure out what's happening this week. Maybe we'll do a little Black Adam review. All right. But for today, we are, as John said at the beginning of the show, we are week 4, John, into our Halloween Spooktacular. And you've got some interesting questions that we're going to talk about this movie. But let's get to the rundown. This is Ghostbusters Afterlife. Billed as an official sequel to the original Ghostbusters movies, Afterlife comes out 31 years, John, after the events of Ghostbusters 2. Released November 19th, 2021, Afterlife was co-written and directed by Jason Reitman, the son of the original Ghostbusters director Ivan Reitman, who passed away earlier this year. And yes, before we get into the comments, I know there's some recent controversies surrounding Ivan Reitman, and no, we're not going to discuss it here. Jason Reitman is an accomplished director himself, having helmed Juno, Up in the Air in his directorial debut, Thank You for Smoking, in 2005.
Oh,
now
all solid hits.
Yeah, man. And he was nominated for directing for Juno. It was the second movie. Now, a third Ghostbusters movie, John, had been in development for many, many years, but stalled out after star Bill Murray refused to return to the franchise. In February 2014, Harold Ramis, who was Spengler, unfortunately had passed away, and Sony decided a couple years later to produce an all-female driven reboot, which was released in 2016. Now, we know all about the toxic response that the 2016 reboot got, which I personally think was completely unfair. I hated it, the response, not the movie. But as a result of that, in 2019, Jason Reitman confirmed that he was working on a sequel to the original movies. Starring Carrie Coon, McKenna Grace, Finn Wolfhard, and Paul Rudd, Afterlife also saw the return of original series stars Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, and Ernie Hudson, as seen on your screen right now. With a budget of $75 million, the movie brought in $204 million, which may sound low, but this was still part of the pandemic. And in fact, this movie had shifted its release date 5 times, John, thanks to COVID. The movie was looked upon as a natural, touching nod to what came before it, while blazing a path forward towards a new future. An Afterlife sequel will see the franchise move back to New York and has a release date of December 20th, 2023. Despite the nostalgia itch, though, John, critics were so-so with the movie, with a score, as you can see on the screen here, Rotten Tomatoes of 63%. But audiences disagreed and wholeheartedly did so, as it currently sits with a 94% certified fresh rating. So, John, with Afterlife, are you ready to answer the call, or are you afraid of more ghosts?
And who am I going to call? I'm actually surprised that it only got 63% critic rating. I don't know if maybe they just had, what was stuck up there, whatever. But I'm actually surprised to see that it actually didn't get as high critical acclaim as I thought it was. But let's dive in, folks. So Ghostbusters Afterlife. Let's talk a little bit about it. First things first, since we're doing this as part of our Halloween October Spooktacular-a-thon, Rob.
Yeah.
Overall, I enjoyed the movie. I actually really enjoyed it on the second watch. As I feel like almost as much as I did on the first watch. And we talked a little bit about it. If you watch our previous review on the Heroes World podcast, we talk about the fact that this opened during the pandemic when some people were still a little bit dicey about going out. So a lot of people didn't do that, and they watched it on digital after. Watching it now in October, I feel like it gets a little bit of a bump having the Halloween spooky ghost theme. But overall, I feel like you can watch this movie any time of the year, and it's gonna work for you. It just has that right amount of nostalgia and a good amount of kind of kids doing things, a la Stranger Things, a la Goonies, a la all the kinds of fun stuff that we watched growing up. What are your overall thoughts, Rob? Like, did we have to do this in October? Would we have done this in December instead or something like that?
You know what? Being very reflective of the movies that we've chosen for this month, John, I have to say we chose movies that do not need to be watched in October.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that we will take, after this is all done, kids, John and I will go back and we're going to sit at the drawing board and we'll discuss, we'll do a debriefing.
We're going to start and we're going to have 12 months to figure it out.
And we're going to retool to ensure that we only watch movies that are Halloween appropriate for next year. But yeah, I don't think that this movie requires it to only be viewed in October. I feel you could watch this any time of the year. And to reiterate what I just said, I think that's all of these movies that we have reviewed for this month. They don't get that extra bump for Halloween. Much like Die Hard gets the bump for Christmas time, right? So, I don't think it's tied to Halloween or October. It could be viewed any time of the year. And I have to say, John, I loved this movie maybe even more than the first time I saw it. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I think overall, let's kind of get the conversation flowing, folks. If anyone in the comments, let us know.
Jonathan's like, you guys plan that much for the show? Lies. We do try. You'd be surprised. We actually do try to plan in advance. What do we have coming out in November, John? We haven't planned that far ahead yet. We will soon.
Chill out. We got one more week to figure that out. We talk a little about the legacy. I guess the legacy kind of helps carry it, especially for us. And a lot of people mentioned get the tissues up for that last scene. 100%, it still hit me pretty hard on the second watch through. But what really shone for me was the kids. But let's do a couple other quick things that I want to cover before we dive into really breaking it down for everybody. And you guys definitely get in on the comments. We'll try our best to kind of go through them and add them on as we go. Rob, do you think at any point, so Lewis made the comment earlier in this show, I watched Ghostbusters 1, Ghostbusters 2, and then Ghostbusters Afterlife. Do you think there's ever a point where you're just going to call this Ghostbusters 3? Or does the weird, like you said, I've never seen that actually, that I guess the third Ghostbusters movie with the all-female cast. I've actually never seen that. So maybe we should kind of revisit that at one point and see if it got a bum rap or actually most people I talk to say like you, it's actually a pretty decent movie. But would you ever get to a point where you just start calling this Ghostbusters 3, or do you think it's forever Afterlife when they go back to these legacies?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I actually think I would just refer to it as Afterlife. Don't think I would ever refer to it as Ghostbusters 3. I think in part the time doesn't necessarily, it was never marketed as Ghostbusters 3. And also I think it does a disservice to the 2016 reboot. Now maybe the reboot wouldn't have gotten like the 2016 one as much hate and vitriol had it been a bit more of a successor to the first two movies and not try to reboot the whole franchise. I don't know. I would tend to think though that the people who were hating on it were just a bunch of a-holes who had a problem with it being an all-female cast, to be honest with you. So
I can see before we just punch all those people out, I can see how some people would be angry that they waited this long for Ghostbusters to come back, and you're not going to bring back that original version. I can kind of see a little bit there, but everything, they tried different things, and we got this one eventually. So I don't know. We'll have to revisit that. But yeah, so you're never going to call it Ghostbusters 3.
No. Gord says, John and Rob planning for Halloween like Adam Sandler and Norm Macdonald and Billy Madison. John, what day is it? October? That makes me Norm Macdonald.
I love Norm Macdonald. We should have really put what is it, Dirty Work on one of our rewatches. Yeah, that's a great movie.
Norm Macdonald.
Yeah. Oh my God. Or we should at least do a reaction to his Fantastic Four bit, since we're comic related. But yeah, so I think we pretty much deemed that we're never going to call this Ghostbusters 3, like Lewis referred to it earlier. Ghostbusters 1, 2, and Afterlife. Interesting
though. Sarah says that she would refer to this one as Ghostbusters 3. Yeah. Interesting. I mean,
it's in the continuity, so it makes sense to call it Ghostbusters 3 and not be insulting or dissing that.
No, you're right, because it brings back the original cast. So it is a successor to the first two movies. So yes, I guess you could say this is the third Ghostbusters, because I guess the 2016 is not canon, right? Using our comic term. So you could then, yes, I guess it is Ghostbusters 3. I would just always refer to it as Afterlife. But that being said, John, they do sell it as a trilogy. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, right? So
yeah. We'll also have to revisit. Michelle makes a comment about the video game, which actually I think has story elements that they were actually going to use in that original movie.
Yes.
Before Ramis passed, right?
Yeah.
So we'll that's a whole other thing we have to unpack. So let's continue with Afterlife. Rob, I brought this up. You kind of shrugged it off, but I felt like this is really a thing. The Paul Rudd fake out. Paul Rudd is on the poster of the movie, very front and center. I don't know. Do I have it here? I have it here. He's right there. He's like leaning right on the front of Ecto 1.
Yes.
And in the trailers, he's very predominant in it. But I feel like he's actually only got maybe 20, 25 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, being generous, of screen time. Do you feel that there was a fake out going on here? Anybody in the comments, let me know too.
I don't know. Is it a fake out? They feature him prominently, as you said, on the photo, on the poster, so you expect to see him there. I don't know. I don't know if it didn't bother me. It's never occurred to me until you brought it up. I never thought about the Paul Rudd fake out.
Being me and my brother being super Paul Rudd fans, I feel like I was expecting a little bit more Paul Rudd in here. And towards the end half of the movie, he's in it, but he gets overtaken. So Sigourney Weaver in the original Ghostbusters, would you consider her main cast, or did she kind of get turned into supporting cast role? Yeah,
but cast. Jonathan Yeo has here's a good comparison. Steven Seagal in Executive Decision is a fake out, because he is prominently featured in the trailer and in the poster, and he's literally in the movie for the first 12 minutes.
Yeah, so
and he's flying like a seagull.
Okay, so maybe they just knew that Paul Rudd brings a certain kind of X factor with him, and decided to go, hey, he's going to be on a little more of the rollout for this movie than the kids, I guess. Or maybe they want
think though that this would have the I don't know, power shift, or it would have been an imbalance if Paul Rudd was more prominent of a star based on the story. Where, okay, spoilers or whatever, if you've seen the movie, like Egon's spirit is very prominent in the movie. Do you know what I'm saying? So like, do you think though that having Paul Rudd, if all of a sudden he was being Paul Rudd or whatever it was in this movie, if it was a lot of Paul Rudd, don't you think that would have then tipped the feel that we get in this movie?
Yeah. You know what? I think you're right. I think maybe just my expectations after seeing the trailers, like I want more Paul Rudd, but I think you're like, even Gordon makes the indication that if there was more Paul Rudd, it would have become a different movie, right? And maybe they wanted to keep some of the stuff with the kids a little closer to the vest, right? So let's move on to the kids then, Rob. Sometimes kids in movies are kind of annoying. Sometimes they're not great actors or actresses, and sometimes you're just waiting for the adults to resume the storyline. And especially in the case of a legacy sequel, obviously you're waiting for Tom Cruise to step on screen. But for this movie, our legacy guys don't even show up till the very end, pretty much.
Yeah.
And the kids are carrying the whole front half, 2/3 of this movie. And I thought they were great. And on the second viewing, I thought they were even better. I really love Podcast Kid. I don't know if he ever gets his real name revealed, but the way he acts and the way he just kind of moves the scene along and kind of chews it up with everybody, he is fantastic. I don't know if he's been in anything else or if he's playing himself or whatever, but I thought he was great in this movie. Rob, what do you think of the kids in this movie?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Listen, I think we are in a post Stranger Things world where we are back to watching stories involving kids or tweens or whatever that we grew up with. We were that age. Now we're older, John, and we're watching these, and there's that sense of revisiting our own childhood through these characters, much like we used to watch the Goonies and be like, wow, that's me on the screen, but now we're in our 40s and watching this, right? So I thought they all did a fantastic job. Stranger Things, obviously Finn Wolfhard is in it, but McKenna Grace as whatever, the girl, I can't remember her name. Sorry, she was
Spangler. What the hell was her name?
Anyways, she was fantastic, right? Like I thought she was amazing. Like when she meets Rudd in the summer school thing, and she's asking, "Oh, did you put out 3 sensors?" And he goes, "Yes, I know how a triangle works." And she goes, "Do you? I thought you were just being obtuse." And then does the one eye wink. Like I killed myself laughing. I completely forgot about the joke, but she plays it so straight. Like she's a straight man. You know what I'm saying? To like the goofy. Like I was like, good for like, hats off. Like just phenomenal. So you're right. You can have movies that are with kids, and you're just like, wow, you can really tell that they're struggling. They're pushing this through. Or you can have kids. Haley Joel Osment in The Sixth Sense. Like you're just so captivated by watching these young performers who are like years beyond their age, right? So I got the sense with this cast, just phenomenal.
And it was, I think it was well written. Like the kids got really good moments. Like there's one point where the older kids they're sitting around that death well. I would never go down that.
I know. I would never sit in that thing.
I was like, yeah, no, it's like creaking around. I'm like, hell no. But they're talking and they're just like, and I think that the girl reveals that she's 4th gen from this dump, basically. Right. And then the kid is like, oh, you think you'll ever leave? And like, these are some really cool conversations they gave them instead of just giving them like silly kitty stuff to talk about. And then there's one moment where I think her name is it Phoebe, maybe Phoebe Spangler or something like that. Right, Phoebe. There's one moment where the mom finally gets picked up in the car and she's like, how can I help? And they're like, kind of like, we got this. And there's one point where she sits in the car, gets the proton pack ready, flies out the door, zaps a bunch of stuff, and then goes in. And the mom just kind of looks at her like, oh, she's found her place and stuff like that. It's such a little small moment, but it was just so well done. So from the kids, I think we can move on to like the music, which I think helps move along and keep the legacy feel. Like Rob, normally we get a lot of top 10 music thrown into movies like this. This one used, I think, what you kind of like is the musical score, which used I don't know if you would call it a riff or a transition that the original Ghostbusters really relied on. They had that little like that kind of little Ghostbusters scene change, or this is spooky stuff going on. How did you feel about this overall musical or sound?
No, I think it was great. I think it wasn't used. It wasn't used in a way that made it corny. You've probably got your favorite Christmas song, like your old school Christmas songs. Then you hear somebody do a rendition. So you could take Frank Sinatra, right? And then you hear Michael Bublé, who you could say is very similar spiritual successor. And he does his own take on it. And it's a little bit different. But it still strikes you in a way that you're like, wow, it pays homage to the original song that I quite enjoy, but I can like this version as well because they're very similar. It's not like a whole different version altogether, right? And that's how I felt with the music and the score in this movie, is that it paid such an homage to the first one. It felt comfortable. I was not out of my comfort zone having it used in a modern day movie, and I thought it was great. Yeah.
And then they don't even use the Ray Parker song until like the very, very end. Like if it showed up a little earlier, you might have been like, oh, that's a little cheesy. But overall, the music was kind of vintage, but wasn't so much so that it distracted from the movie.
I got to put this up here because I don't think we've ever had somebody say this to us, John. Michelle says she skipped the film, but you guys are kind of making me want to see it now. Oh man, I hope you do. I think you'll really, really enjoy it. It's playing on Amazon Prime in Canada if you have that.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
currently
sure.
it's $10 until tomorrow morning. It's $10 on iTunes. But yeah, Michelle, I hope you do because it's a great movie.
Yeah. So like a lot of fun, and then we'll close it up with Rob. Do you cry during this movie? I feel like it's okay to cry during this movie. The especially the last scene, even the opening, when you realize, like, I think when I first watched this, I kind of had an idea of what was going on, that was the character at the beginning.
Yeah.
So now you know definitively, oh, this is this way of this character being in the movie, even though he has passed. So it's really cool that way. But I think when the legacy characters show up, there's no doubt that you get a little emotional, I think, especially towards the end, even though I feel like you could cut them from the movie, and the kids do such a good job that they could have wrapped this up. But it's a nice little kind of cherry on the top of kind of this legacy. And Sarah mentions that the ending had her in tears. So 100% don't blame you.
Yeah, I wish I had. I wish I wasn't emotionally stunted.
I wish you weren't dead inside.
I wish my tear ducts weren't fused together by a horrible, shop accident from grade 8. No, I wish I wasn't emotionally stunted, and that I could. I don't allow whatever. This now gets into psychology of me. I'm not doing that, but I don't generally get emotional at movies or at all. However, I do allow myself to recognize that I find it a moment to be quite sad, and I wish I was more in touch with my emotions to allow me to cry at these moments, because I think that movie is absolutely touching. And we went last year, the four of us, like my wife and my 2 kids, and I know that my kids who had never, my son still hasn't really. He saw the original after this one. He found it to be very emotional as well. And he's much more in tune with his emotions than I am. Yeah. And he allows himself to feel that, which is what movies do. They're supposed to evoke these emotions.
He's not a robot, is what you're saying. He's not an undead robot like his father, apparently.
I get angry.
That's her like grandfather that she never met, but would 100% identify with, helping her save the day. And then if that didn't get you, now the mom steps up, his daughter, and they exchange a hug before he, floats away into the ether. Yeah. Like, how does that?
People in the theater, and I'm just doing this.
you're the Peter Venkman, right? Venkman is like, oh, I figured you'd turn up.
Which is weird because I get angry when I watch certain characters they're meant to evoke anger. That pisses me off. I have anger and I do laugh, but for whatever reason I don't cry. Well, I know those reasons. Anyways, but yeah, man, it's a phenomenal moment of a movie that I think you can telegraph coming. But when it does hit, it hits so hard, it doesn't matter. You're just like, wow. And it's
a good story, even without the legacy component.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, without the legacy component, it is like a beautiful way of kind of dealing with death in a movie, right? So yeah, shout outs to that. Let's talk a little bit about sequel. Rob, do you want to see a follow-up to this? Yeah, dead. He's a robot, Sarah. He's a robot.
Well, we know we're getting one. December of 2023 is a new one. And if you went through the credits and you saw the credit scene, what happens to the firehouse. And Jason Reitman is returning. And the rest of the cast is as well, as far as I know. So I am excited to see what happens. Although I guess I'm cautiously optimistic because it's taking it out of the Midwest and we're going back to New York. And we've had 3 Ghostbusters movies in New York. So you really got to top it to make it something kind of special. So we'll see what happens. But I guess that's the only lot. What are you going to go? Chicago? We're going to go to Florida? Like, I think you have to go back to where it, back to its roots. So, but in Jason Reitman, I trust.
Yeah. I think unfortunately you can't keep it in the small town, although it has its charm and the coming of age component is going to be gone now. They're gonna, I think, gonna have their roles or where they sit, and they're gonna be just full of Ghostbusters, the new generation. So yeah. Michelle, you really got to check this movie out, or at least watch some scenes from it. You should definitely, especially if you're a Winston fan. They definitely gave him a little boost. There was issues with Ernie Hudson? Ernie Hudson in that first movie, his part being kind of like cut down to
big time.
Very minimal. So I feel like they did give him a little more to do.
Power boost.
Yeah. Rob, do you like? Let me put this picture up quickly. Did they age them up? I feel like Ernie Hudson actually looks better than this when I've seen him, and some of these guys look a little bit better. Do you think they aged them up to make sure they looked kind of like older in it?
Well, I think Bill Murray just looks like death warmed over naturally. Yeah. Well, it's funny because Ernie Hudson's currently on Quantum Leap, and Yeah, and I think it's hard to say because he doesn't have as much gray in Quantum Leap as he does here, but I think he looks all right. Listen, I've seen Dan Aykroyd, online, or you see him, in the background of whatever, and I think that I think they're all appropriately aged, put it that way. I don't know if they aged him up, but maybe they did, maybe with makeup and whatnot, and it was also at nighttime shoot, so they were cold, so.
Yeah. Michelle says Bill Murray looks like he just rolled out of bed, which I think maybe they might have thought because they didn't know he was going to show up for that first movie. I think maybe he did. Maybe he pulled the same shenanigans for this one. But yeah.
All right, Gordon, I'm going to get that shirt made.
Rodimus Prime.
Nice. Oh, I see what he did there. Rod Dumbass. That's what he's done.
Maybe it was just an unfortunate coincidence.
I'm not going to get that shirt now.
Well, we'll put it on the back so you don't see it.
Well, yeah, Michelle makes a good point. Sorry, I took this but you did say he always looks like he's rolled out of bed. Yeah, here's the thing with Bill Murray though. He doesn't have an agent. He has a fax number, this random fax number that you fax something to him. That's how you get a hold of him, and he'll decide whether. And sometimes he'll show up to a movie set like literally the day of the start shooting. Like people don't really know if he's going to be there or not. He's mercurial. Like that.
So. And again, he had that great line. I figured you'd show up or figured you'd come up or something like that. It was a great little line. And then
but do you want to see a sequel? Do you want to see
100%? I want to see what these less young but still young actors and actresses do, because these kids will age up quickly. I'm watching Stranger Things, and the transition between seasons is getting a little nuts. When the kids like bigger, and like, holy crap, what's going on? They're full-fledged adults. So yeah, shout out to that. I guess we'll revisit this when maybe another sequel is announced. So I think right now, Ghostbusters, I definitely enjoyed it more than I thought I would, Rob. I didn't think I was going to go back and rewatch this, to be honest. I thought, I watched it once and that was it, but I really enjoyed it on this rewatch, and I think I will definitely fire it up again for sure.
Yeah, it'll be on one of my movies, my modern movies, where I would rewatch it again, for sure.
Yeah. Hey, Flat Top, did you miss this? Yeah. That's Olivia Wilde, right? As Zool or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
I did not see that. I think Pat was with me and he's like, is that Olivia Wilde? I'm like, how the hell can you tell that? But anyways, thank you everybody for joining us for Ghostbusters Afterlife. If you haven't seen it, definitely give it a try, especially now that it's on streaming. And especially if you do have a special spot in your heart for those first two movies, or at least the first movie. And if you're not a robot like Rob, you can test. This is the robot test, folks. If you can make it through that last part of the movie, but with just a stone face going.
Yeah, you either have a heart or you're Rob.
Gozer, yeah, sorry, Fraser's right. Yeah, it was Gozer, not Zool. Anyways, thank you everybody for that. What do we got coming up next week, which is our special Sunday show, Rob?
Yeah, John, it's a Devil's Night on Sunday, and every time I think of Devil's Night, John, I just want to fire up the Crow. So I'll probably
the Crow
next week. But in place of the Crow for this year, John, Sunday night, 8 p.m., special day and time, 8 p.m. next Sunday night. We are going back with our Daywalker friend, Mr. 1B Lade, or Blade. And we're heading...
Would be Lade.
I don't know.
Kudos for trying. Kudos for trying, Rob.
I'm skidding uphill. Okay, we are going with Blade 2, directed by modern, I guess one would say modern monster maker Guillermo del Toro, the sequel to the original Blade movie, which we were all big fans of. But Blade 2, does it still have the love that Blade 1 does? A hell of a lot more vampires, a hell of a lot more killing, and a hell of a lot more Wesley Snipes. So that's it. That's Blade 2, Electric Boogaloo with B. Lade.
B2 Judgment Day. That's what.
That's right.
Every sequel.
And just for the record, we will not be watching Blade 3.
So, not on the slate. I am sorry.
No.
You know what's going to get on the slate before Blade 3 gets on the slate? That the one starring Sticky Fingers, the TV show from Spike TV.
God,
if we could somehow unearth that, I would definitely watch that over watching Blade 3. Even though Ryan Reynolds and who was Jessica Biel? Jessica Biel, Patton Oswalt,
Triple H, Parker Posey.
Yeah. Big deal. Heat Wave was Dracula, right? Prison Break guy.
That's right. Dominic Purcell.
Yeah. It's got an all-star cast.
We're not doing it. Don't talk
Daryl from Walking Dead, right?
Shit movie. Ryan Reynolds is maybe the best. As Hannibal, whatever his name was probably the best. That because of Blade 3, that's how we ended up getting into Deadpool. But that's whatever. Don't do it to yourself. Don't do it to me. We're not watching Blade 3. All right.
Michelle says she's only ever saw the third one. So what's the opposite phrase of some MFer trying to skate uphill? If you start going to see Blade 1 and 2, then you're skating downhill, right? And it's super easy. So you should definitely fire that up with us. So fire it up. Yeah, we'll put the crow back on for next October, maybe, in our 12-month planning stage.
Sarah's like, we should watch actual Halloween movies. Yes, Sarah, we've heard the feedback. We will be doing that October 2023.
I'll go make the graphic now. All right, folks. Thank you very much. It's been an absolute blast. Rob, you got anything else we gotta cover before we sign up?
I got nothing. Go see Black Adam. Go rewatch Ghostbusters Afterlife. Michelle, I think you'll enjoy it. And Gordon, Sarah, I hope you're not shoveling out of snow too much.
This would be a great trick to watch Halloween movies on Easter. Yeah.
That would be good, actually. We should try to do that. Actually, well, John originally wanted to watch Hop. And I said, no, we're not watching James Marsden movie Hop. I swear to God, don't make me do it.
What other bunny movies can you watch? Anyways, that's for another time, another show, and another 11 months of planning for how many months?
Lewis, stop complaining. You can find it. It's out there, for God's sakes.
Just you own it. Everybody owns it.
Yeah.
Everybody owns Blade. They just added Blade 1 to Netflix. So maybe Blade 2 will show up next week. Anyways, thank you again, folks. We're going to sign off. We've been keeping you too long on Monday. Yeah.
8 p.m.
Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah. If you come in here, if you're here next Monday, we're not going to be here. It'll be an empty room. Maybe we should do that, John. We should just have
put up like 2 empty cameras.
Yeah.
With a mirror. Anyways, thank you so much, folks. We'll catch you on the next one.